All right, looks like I'm live. Let me check over here and see if it's showing up on YouTube. Anyways, how's it going tonight, guys? It's Friday night, and it's been a long day for me. Sorry I'm late. I like to start a little bit earlier than this, but hey, I worked till almost dark and shoved some food in my face real quick, and here I am. So, anyways, glad to see you guys. What's up, Road Scholar? How's it going, SwitchPod? Glad to see you guys. Road Scholar, I got your email. I'm actually checking on it. Just so you guys know, Road Scholar sent me an email asking me about handguards on Polish AKs. Now, here's the thing. I haven't had time. I've been working a lot lately to do a ton of research, but in my experience with the Polish AK kits that I have, they actually don't have the numbered handguards. So I'm not saying none of them were, but I have a milled kit that does not. I also have a early stamped kit, like when they were still using the hardwood furniture. It does not have the serial number on the handguards. And then I have a Polish AKMS that was made in like the 70s. Those are the ones that I had here at the shop to look at. Those do not have serial numbers on the handguards. So I will do a little more research. I have some more kits at home too I can check. But as of right now, I can't answer your question, but I'll do some more research and get back to you. But I'm not convinced that, all of the Polish kits would have serial numbers. Well, let me take that back. I know they don't all have serial numbers on the handguards. I'm not sure if any of them do, and if so, which variant that would be. So hopefully that helps answer your question. What's up, Richard Hughes? Glad to have you here, man. So it might be a thing where some of them did and some of them didn't. I don't know as what the general rule is, though. So as far as that goes, you might have to kind of play it by ear. They may have not consistently serialized all of the handguards, or if they did in the same manner. I don't know. Hope that helps. Anyways, so I'm going to go over a few different things today. I'm going to talk about a few different handguns, a couple budget options that are out there. Because, I don't know, maybe it's the way it's always been, but for some reason, everyone keeps on asking me about budget guns lately. People don't have a lot of money or don't have a lot of money to spend on guns, or maybe you're all just a bunch of cheap asses. I have no idea. But people keep saying, they've got $200 to get a gun. And what's the best gun you can get for $200, $200? It seems like that number keeps popping up, and there's a couple choices out there. Are any of them the best? Maybe not. Are some of them kind of terrible? Yeah, I think so. But yeah, we got a few options in the budget handguns that are both brand new production and even some old milsurps. They're going to come in, at around $200. So what's up, Ninja Scout? He says, yeah, we're all cheap. Well, yeah, some of us are cheap, some of us aren't. Just depends what your priorities are, right? So I'm just going to give a couple minutes here and see if any more people come in before I show some of these exact guns, but I'll give you guys a clue. I've got one of these here today, if anyone likes these. Of course, I've got my Taurus G2C here, and a small pile of these, the Star BM 9mm. So there's a few 9mm that are, pretty cheap. I'm also going to go over a little more detail, a couple of the guns I showed you guys in my last video. A couple older pistols, the Walther Model 4. I brought the Nambu back out, the Type 14 Nambu. And this little Bursa. I still have them sitting by my desk from the video I just filmed, and there's some cool stuff about this gun. It's kind of weird in a way, but hey, what's up, Tree Guy? And then after that, I'm going to show you guys a couple AK magazines. And these are going to be like the cheapest AK magazines you can get. Some budget AK mags. So I'll talk about those in a minute too. Let's see who else has popped in here. Looks like we have Warsaw Patriot. What's up, man? Glad to see you. Peden 33. How's it going, man? Nope, you wouldn't see me at the NRA convention. I work a ton. I just do this for fun, after work and whatnot. And I put in at least 12 hours today working, and I got another 12-hour day tomorrow. I run a small business, and it's hard for me to get away and do any traveling or anything like that. So Warsaw Patriots wanting to know. Oh, I'm sorry. He says, you know what mags I want if I could buy them? What's that? Let us know. There's a million AK mags out there, guys. Oh, Bakelite mags. Gotcha. Yeah, I've got quite a few of those too, both in 7.62 by 39 and 5.45 by 39. A couple different countries made the Bakelite mags. You know, you've got the Russian ones, obviously. You also have some East German Bakelites, and you can get them in the 30 round. They made some 45 round AK-74 type mags. So yeah, the Bakelites are pretty cool. And even the AK-74 plum mags, as they're called, those are basically a Bakelite type material too. The material is almost the same as the classic orange ones, just a different pigment in them. Yeah, they're kind of hard to get. You can still get them from Russia. If you guys want Bakelites now for any reasonable price, you have to find an individual in Russia that's going to sell them to you. And that comes with some risks, of course, because since you're not buying from an actual business, you're going to have to kind of just know who the person is a little bit or trust them, because if you send them some money via PayPal, it's kind of hard to really go knock on their door if they screw you because they're in Russia. But with that said, I've gotten some really nice stuff from Russia over the years, including recently. You know, the last batch of stuff I got from Russia was just a few months ago. And be prepared to wait, you know. And plus, they have to do different tricks if you buy stuff directly from Russia. Like, they can't send you the complete mag or it'll get caught in customs. So this is what I've noticed lately. Expect like 3 different packages if you order some mags. You'll get one with just the mag bodies in it. You'll get another one that'll have like springs and followers, right? And then you'll get another one that might have floor plates in it. It just depends. Sometimes they group it into 2, sometimes literally as much as 3 packages. And what they're doing is they're separating them out and they're marking the packages as components, which apparently, and I've been told this by several Russian people, it's less scrutiny to customs. I don't know if that's on their end or our end. Most of these guys don't speak the best English, so it's like you can just tell when they're emailing you, they're using Google Translate. But the gist of it is this. Yeah, expect to wait a long time. I remember, shoot, the second to last shipment from Russia, it was like I got the mag bodies, and I didn't know the guy was going to be separating them because they didn't used to do that. Years ago, if you bought mags from a guy in Russia, he'd just send you the whole mag, right? No ammo in it, of course. But in the last couple of years, they've started separating them. Well, I got the mag bodies, and then it was like I heard nothing else. And then like 6 weeks after that, I got I think it was like maybe it was just the springs, right? And then like 4 weeks after that, I got the followers and floor plates. So from the first shipment, which that was a couple months delay, it seemed like, till the last shipment, there was like 6 more weeks involved, and it was a little nerve-wracking for a minute there, you know, like, okay, did I get screwed? Is this guy only going to send me half a mag? Because it's kind of like, what good is that, right? But yeah, so I hate to say it, that's kind of where we're at, because as far as actual companies selling them to us, well, we can thank Obama for putting sanctions on the Kalashnikov Concern Company. And that would be like, you know, associated with Izhmash or Izhevsk, though those companies there that made the Sega rifles, and they also had large stockpiles of Bakelite mags. Those were banned, can't be imported per Obama. Well, we still have the Molot factory, so we still had a source. A lot of the RPK mags, you know, were made in Molot. A lot of times they have the star on them, or like the shield. Those got banned by Trump. So our current president and our former president are kind of equal on those terms. Both of them have equally, you know, banned one out of the 2 Russian manufacturers. And these aren't just current Russian manufacturers. You know, the Planet Izhevsk has been around forever, like over 100 years. That's the one Mikhail Kalashnikov actually worked at. So you can imagine a lot of the stockpiles and things were owned by them and went through them. Same thing as, you know, your Tula factory, your Molot factory. You know, thank our current president for that, our current anti-gun president and our former anti-gun president. I would say equally anti-gun, but actually Trump's banned more now than Obama has successfully. So, but look, that comes with an asterisk. It doesn't go without Obama wanting to. Of course, Obama wanted to ban just as much Trump has, if not 10 times more. It's just since he was a Democrat, whenever he tried to ban something, all the Republicans in Congress, you know, both chambers of Congress would stand up against him and pull out all the stops to try to stop it. Well, since Trump's, you know, on their side and he was elected as one of us, it seems like if Trump asks for gun control, it just simply happens. with the bump stock ban. No Congress, no law, no vote. Regulation, though, that carries the full force of law. So for our purposes, it's a law. As far as, you'll get in just as much trouble if you get caught with it. But the way our country's supposed to make law, no. You guys already know how the bump stock thing went down. Same thing as the MOLOT ban. Trump just signed his name to an order and said, no more MOLOT. So no more VEPers. The last of the mags. A lot of Mosins were still coming in through MOLOT. That's why Mosins are $340 a piece. Were they going to stay at $99 forever? No, of course not. But would they be $340 for just a basic, wartime round receiver? No, they wouldn't be $340. So we can just thank Obama and Trump for that, right? So yeah, I've never bought anything from an individual in Ukraine. I do know a couple Russian people. Like, I don't actually know them, but I have correspondence with them that I bought stuff from. See, the Russian citizens, have access to this kind of stuff a lot easier than us. There's still a lot of it, from what I understand, floating around Russia, and they're allowed to own the magazines. The way they can own the guns is very difficult and interesting, from what I've been told. It's not that they can't own them. It's just kind of harder for them to own them than us. But if they can own one, they can have all the correct features, which we can't. So anyways, but the mags and all that, and the mag pouches and bayonets and a lot of that stuff, the Russian citizens have no problem just buying. And again, neither of these presidential sanctions, whether it be Trump's or Obama's, affected individual people. It was just named companies and then named individuals that were like important people or on the executive levels of these companies. So there is no sanction. It's not illegal at all to buy magazines from an individual citizen in Russia, or if it's one of the, say, some other smaller company that's not. I'll give you guys a perfect example. Puff Gun. They weren't part of the sanctions. They have no financial ties or dealings with, on paper, obviously, with Kalashnikov concern or with MOLOT. So therefore, we're able to buy Puff Gun mags readily. Now, could that change with one signature? Of course it could. Will those probably be banned eventually? Why not? I mean, I don't want them to be, of course, but anything could happen. If you told me, well, they try to ban all guns in a few years, I'm sure they're going to try. It's up to us to keep them from doing that, obviously, and to make sure they don't do it. And get all these people out of office that would actually vote for such a thing. But are they going to try? Yeah, they're going to go after all of it. It's like, what's the difference to them anymore? They don't have to hide about it. They're brazen. They're bold. The Democrats, every Democrat that's running right now for 2020, gun control is right on the top. They brag about it. They don't have to hide from it anymore. Back in the 90s when Clinton did it, Newt Gingrich came in, the Republicans took over the House, and many people said it was because of the assault weapons ban. We're in a different era, guys. Doesn't seem like they're even afraid of it at all. They're completely embracing, emboldened, and even a lot of the Republicans now are supporting gun control. So if you guys need your Bakelite mags or something, buy them while you can. That's all I have to say. With all this stuff, buy it when you can, because you can't just think, it's 5 years from now, 10 years ago now, from now rather, that you're going to be able to get this stuff. Let's see here. If only Poland or Romania started making Bakelites. Yeah, that's the thing, man. The Bakelite, see, that's not really a modern manufacturing technique. And here's the thing, guys. What we call the Bakelite magazines aren't truly Bakelite, okay? We can call them that, and I call them that, and we all know what we mean. But they're actually like a phenolic resin is what they really are. And that's like an older technology of manufacturing, so I don't think we're going to see those again. Just because now, if there was a stockpile of them somewhere where somebody had some that they had been given or bought from Russia years ago, we might get them from one of those countries. But we're not going to see Poland manufacturing new Bakelite mags, or Romania, or any of those kind of countries. Romania never really used them in mass. Now, every country, obviously, there could have been some random stuff filtered in, but Romania never did the Bakelites. Not Poland either. And if you want to know what we're going to get from Poland for the near future, unless or until another president or this president, obviously it could be this president, he's proven that, puts a sanction in on another country, we're going to get like what's available from Arms of America, if you guys are familiar, from Poland, like those translucent green mags. That's kind of like a current, that's what the factories there are tooled up to make. And you'll notice, they're going to be in 5.56. Now 7.62 by 39, that's something they're still making for export to the U.S. and other countries, because Poland's basically just using 5.56 nowadays for all intents and purposes. They have some 7.62 by 39 guns, but not enough to really speak of. Let's see here. Yeah, Ninja Scout saying place called Rust Surplus. True, they do send them a piece to clear customs. He got 345 round 5.45 by 39 mags a few years back for $40 a piece and thought he got ripped off. But all the pieces came within 3 days. So your results are going to vary, guys. And yeah, Warsaw Patriot saying the 40 rounders go for $200. That's crazy, isn't it? I don't know if that's true or not. That's just what he's saying here. But wow, I can't even imagine. That's a lot of money. I guess good thing I got quite a few. Oh, you paid $40 for all 3 of them, you're saying? Okay, well, that would have been probably a few years ago, I would assume, because they've been going for, I'd say even 5-6 years ago, they were going for a steady, $30, $35 on the primary market here when they would come in. But even if you ordered them from Russia back then, you were probably looking at closer to $15 to $20 a piece minimum. And that's 5-6 years ago. So I'm guessing it had to have been at least that long ago. Because the Russians aren't stupid. They know, obviously, they've gone up here. They're going to be able to get more money. I think the last ones I bought, I thought I did pretty good on them. Last Bakelites I bought were probably, I think, like around $25 a piece for the 30 rounders. And I ordered a stack of the 7.62 by 39 and some 5.45s. But yeah, they're completely nuts. I mean, you can get this piece of crap from Poland for, well, I guess they're sold out now, but these were available for like $4 or $5 within the last year. I can't remember if it's been a couple months or 6-8 months ago, something like that. You could get one of these quote Polish mags, but these are, well, I don't know. We'll find out about these. I'll get back to this in a minute. Let me see if I missed anything else here in the comments. Oh, SAJPB52. How's it going, man? You got a you do own a High Point. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. You owned a High Point and it wasn't bad for 150, but you sold it. I hear you. They are what they are. I obviously have one too, right here. I've got a couple of their 9mm carbines. I even have their JHP 45. But do I really like them? No. I'll get into that in a second. They're really not my favorite gun by any means. I'm not sure if I missed anyone. If I did, then let me know you're here. Seth's here. How's it going, Seth? Yeah, I answered your question already. Sorry to repeat myself, guys. I'm just going through the list here and don't want to forget anyone because I do appreciate all of you hanging out with me. It makes it more fun if I've got a few people to talk to, It gets kind of boring just talking to myself because I was working by myself all day today. All those trees and stuff in the customers' yards, they really didn't care too much about AK mags and stuff. It was kind of weird, but no matter what I said, they never really responded. Will G's here. He said he's a new sub and new to guns. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And if you're new to guns, there's, I try to offer a lot of different stuff, so hopefully a new guy might find a lot of information on my channel because for anyone that's a little bit new here, I like to talk about gun rights a lot. I like to talk about military surplus stuff, the AK, modern guns too. I've done quite a bit, on this Taurus. And I'm not done with this gun yet either. There's going to be more videos on this gun. I'm going to show this POS in a minute. We'll talk about this. So I don't know. I don't like to just kind of be pigeonholed into one thing. I just kind of like to do what's fun. And I get it. Everybody might not like every video I do, but it's like, hey, I kind of do a little bit of everything. If you don't like my video that I'm putting out today because it's just boring, maybe you'll like the next one. Because I really don't do the same thing over and over again. And that's just due to my interest. And I hope you guys like that. I'm not really about big production. I don't think I ever will be. I do appreciate when people sub to the channel, and it makes me know that it's worth my while. And of course, it makes me feel good inside when people like the content, and they leave comments and tell their friends about the channel. But look, guys, I'm not doing this to get famous or get money or anything like that. I don't make 1 penny on YouTube. I don't have any expectation I ever will. I just do what's fun and kind of what I want to do. And if you like what I'm doing, that's awesome. So you're going to see a lot of random stuff here, Will. And I'm glad you've been learning so far. There you go, Richard. Richard has a channel too. You may like what Richard's doing. I'm sure you will. I'm subbed to Richard Hughes. I think he has a great channel. Let's see here. Richard's asking, has anyone told you they like your videos? I don't know if they've necessarily told me, but generally people, more people hit the thumbs up than thumbs down. So I'm assuming a couple people might like some of my videos here and there. But yeah, Richard, do some 2A videos. I know you're a Second Amendment supporter, and I'd like to hear your take on that. And Richard does talk about gun rights, obviously. So yeah, keep it up, man. Will G, we got SwitchPod in here. He has a nice channel going. He'll do some little reviews, and he's good at a lot of machine shop stuff. If you're into like doing some, I don't want to say gunsmithing because he doesn't really do that. You're not allowed to do true gunsmithing on YouTube. That's the thing, right? Due to their stupid policies. But that's a good channel you'll like. Warsaw Patriot. Warsaw does videos on. He likes coffee quite a bit. So if you like to drink coffee, you'll probably like you'll probably like one of Warsaw's newest videos. But yeah, anyways. Yeah, there's Gunstreamer, and Gunstreamer will let you do gunsmithing and all that kind of stuff. The thing is, not a whole lot of people are over there. I need to get back over there and check out my channel. It's just kind of like after like months of having my Gunstreamer, I had like 12 subs over there, and I get like, there's one guy that on a regular basis would leave me comments, and I appreciated it, but geez, oh Pete, when a whole week would go by and not one comment, I kind of haven't really been over there lately. But after I'm off the stream, I'll check into Gunstreamer if anyone's been over there saying hi to me. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of different things, a bunch of different channels and different platforms for gun content. Problem is, not really many people are there, and it kind of sucks. Like, you guys know what I'm saying. SAJPB52, what's going on with the bump stock ban? Okay, so basically what was going on before is they were trying to get injunctions in place, and they went through all the different districts, through the circuit courts of appeals, ultimately to the Supreme Court. There was like 4 or 5 different motions filed there, all to no avail. So what they were trying to do is get injunctions, meaning we want to stop this law from going into effect while we can fight it out. None of those were successful. So bump stocks did become illegal to own for common everyday people. Now, if you're what's called a special occupational taxpayer and you have a SOT, you'd be allowed to have them still. But basically, they're treated as a machine gun now. So if you're not allowed to own a post-86 machine gun, which 99.9% of us are not, then they're illegal. It would be, from what I understand, a felony to be in possession of one, the same exact way as if you were to take a modern AK or AR and convert that to a machine gun. Same exact crime, right? So they're illegal right now. Now, the fight's not completely over, though. I know GOA, for example, their lawsuit in the 6th District, the District of Western Michigan, which appeals to the 6th Circuit, they had gone through and asked the district in Western Michigan, that federal judge, to put in an injunction or a stay. He said no. They went over his head and went to the Circuit Court of Appeals and appealed to them and said, well, you put a stay. Well, we can fight the actual constitutionality of this regulation. They said no. Went to the Supreme Court. They said no. So the law went into effect. That's where we are. Doesn't mean all the litigation's over, though. I know GOA, for example, and their attorneys are still fighting right now. And the 6th Circuit Court of Appeals, and what they're arguing on is the merits of it being unconstitutional for several reasons. So all of these lawsuits that happened in the past couple months are still going on. They're just trying to get the law overturned at this point, rather than Before it was just an injunction. They were saying, hold it, put it in place. We think we can get the law overturned. We don't want people to become potential felons or have to destroy their property in the meantime. Well, now you've either destroyed your property or you're a felon if you still have one. And I don't care if you have one or not, guys, because I'm not law enforcement, so it's none of my business if you guys have one. But yeah, they're still trying to fight it on like unconstitutionality. I know Firearms Policy Foundation and Coalition, they're still fighting in the DC Circuit Court of Appeals on several grounds. Some of them overlap with GOA, some are different, okay? So yeah, they're still fighting the cases, guys, but you're not going to see the decisions coming out as quickly now because they were filing for like emergency stays and emergency injunctions because we had a fast approaching deadline at that point. Well, now that the deadline's passed, they're going to take all the time they want to decide. I think next month we're supposed to be getting a decision from the Sixth Circuit, if that helps you guys at all. Last time I checked. So yeah, the bump stock ban, there we are. It's going to go a little slow now, but they're still fighting. It is being unconstitutional. And I don't want to be negative, but Jesus, I don't know if it's going to be good, guys, because if they were not willing to even put an injunction on it, saying we're just going to hold the law off over to the side and let the plaintiffs, argue their case, how's it going to turn out in the long run? Because they're supposed to actually put an injunction if the court believes that there's a chance that the plaintiffs are going to win. It doesn't mean they think the plaintiffs are going to win. The judges don't even have to think that there's going to be an over 50% chance of winning. If they just think there's somewhat of a probable chance that the plaintiffs will win, they should have put the emergency injunctions in place. And the fact that they did not do it, I don't know, guys. I think it's going to be tough. But I hope so. And Ninja Scout, like he said, GOA is awesome. Yeah, even if they lose this lawsuit, guys, it's not because they didn't try. NRA, they didn't try. NRA actually suggested it. NRA said they recommended that that the president look at it and put in a regulation. And I think that's a lot of the reason why Trump did. Because Trump believes that to get the gun vote, he has to be good in with the NRA, because he believes that all gun owners and all Second Amendment advocates belong to the NRA and subscribe to the NRA. And like I said, I'll rag on Trump a little bit for the stuff he's done. No problem with that. I voted for him. I can rag on him as much as anybody. But I think where a lot of Trump's actually gone wrong is he's taking up counsel with the wrong people. And I get it. A president's a very busy job. He has so many more things to do than just talk about guns. Although I would say to protect the Bill of Rights should probably be one of his most important duties. I think that should be right up there. So, but yeah, I think that's a lot of where Trump's gone wrong on gun rights, to be honest with you guys. Let me know what you guys think. He took up counsel, which a lot of people do. They go to a so-called expert. They go to a guy that has years and years in the school systems, and they'll consult them on educational goals, right? Of course, they should do that. Well, what Trump's done is for gun rights issues, he's gone to the NRA and said, NRA, what's your stance on this? Assuming that, yeah, that's what Second Amendment voters want. NRA told him that the bump stock ban was just fine. They actually recommended it to him. This doesn't make an excuse for Trump, guys. I'm really not trying to say that, but if you look at the true source of it, I think the bump stock ban really came from the NRA, to be quite honest. And of course, it came from the other side too. We know that most Democrats, at least on the national level, almost all Democrats don't want the bump stock. Most of them don't want us to even have guns at all. So that's kind of self-explanatory, right? Anyways, yeah, so that's what's up with the bump stock ban. But yeah, I support the GOA, have for a long time. Firearms Policy Foundation and Coalition, same group, just different arms. Legalese, different tax ID numbers, same organization. Like Richard Hughes brings up, good point. Judges are highly political. Let's see here. We've got, okay, Richard's saying he'd like to sub to anyone in the chat with the channel. That's fine. Just don't say sub for sub or anything like that, guys, because YouTube's really cracking down on that. I don't know why. I really don't know why. That's just retarded, but you guys know how this works. If you like a channel and you want to subscribe to it, you can. And then they'll get a notification that you subscribed, assuming your subscriptions are public. They'll see you did, and they'll probably return the favor. But we can't actually say anything like sub for sub because that's strictly prohibited now by YouTube. Of all things, that's one of their main objectives. So whatever. Brastard's here. What's up, man? Brastard said one of your friends said you're a Democrat because you don't 100% support Trump. I've heard that kind of stuff too. I don't think so. I mean, here's the deal. You're not gonna agree with any one person on anything. I mean, every one of you in there. I guarantee you when I talk for an hour or 2 hours, there has to be times that you guys, even the regulars that are in here week after week, where you guys say, man, I really don't agree with you, Glock, on that one. But you might still stick around because, hey, you might agree with 9 out of the 10 things I said. So none of us are going to agree on everything. So, of course, you're not going to agree with him on everything. Now, when it comes to gun rights, there seems to be a lot of things that I don't agree with him on. So, I never thought he was going to be pro-gun to begin with. So there you go. Let's see here. Okay, Brasser said his friends from England and supported every Democrat and commie till Trump. Oh, boy. But, hey, guys, 2020 is coming up here, and we're going to have to vote for someone that's anti-gun or not vote at all because Trump's been anti-gun, and look who else is running. Did you guys hear about Kamala Harris during that famous town hall where she was like, where she said in the first 100 days, if Congress doesn't enact gun control, to her liking, that she'll start putting executive actions in place. There's a whole myriad of them. Trust me. She's mentioned a few already, but with her, there'll be like 100 different things. Just trust me on this, guys. She's really, really bad for the Second Amendment, like terrible bad. And when she was Attorney General in California, she has a record. So this isn't just like a guess, okay? This is like she is really, really bad. And she's promising in her first 100 days. Now, here's what sucks. We kind of have precedents that's been set for executive action gun control because I was preaching about this when it happened, and I got to keep reminding you guys of this. When Trump did that bump stock ban with executive action, Pelosi came right out and said, well, that's all right. And when he did it with the wall, she said, that's all right. You want to make an executive action for the wall? That was the one she responded to, guys. I got ahead of myself. Then we'll make, next president could make executive actions on guns. Well, then Trump went ahead and he did an executive action on guns too. So we have the other side literally threatening Trump with it, which, they don't need much of an excuse for gun control, right? And then we have precedent that as of right now has gone through multiple courts, even up to the Supreme Court. None of them would deny the law. None of them would give us an emergency injunction. So, yeah, if our Republican president put in an executive action banning a very commonly owned firearms accessory, not even a gun at all, we all know there's no way a bump stock is a gun. It's just not. If that was able to be banned, look out. Look out. That's why we have to watch what we do here because, and the bump stock ban itself, they listed precedent like 100 different times in there. So next time they do this, when Kamala Harris, if she becomes elected, right, she's going to say, well, Republicans, you can't say anything because Trump did it. You're the Republican president did it. And then the courts are going to look at it and say, well, yeah, past presidents have done this. It was appealed to the circuit court. They let it go through. Then they'll say, well, then it went up to SCOTUS and they let it go through. Whew. I hate to use those cliches, guys, but I have to. Slippery, still a slope. The slope's so freaking slippery. It's like, it's getting bad. These executive actions, these are the scariest parts. Now, I get it. We have to have an executive action sometimes. Like if there's a forest fire, yeah, the president as an executive action will say, I'll give $10 million and donate some of the National Guard, send some of their time down there to help fight this fire. That's fine. We get it. Sometimes you don't have time to have a big vote. If something's literally on fire, I think maybe it might be reasonable for the president to call on the Guard, to call on, to get some money involved, to dispatch some extra fire departments, right? But when we have executive action that's a direct attack on the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, no. I do not believe that was the intent of the Founding Fathers. And I believe that's how a lot of other countries do things. And I believe what's always made America different from other countries is we have due process. And you do have to go through, the lower chamber and upper chambers of Congress. And only after that can the president decide whether he wants to sign or confirm that law or whether he wants to veto it. And we're just making laws differently now. And it's such a fine line. It's basically like a distinction without any real difference. With these regulations, like with the bump stock regulation, yes, guys, I know how our laws work enough that, yes, it's not proper noun law, but it's a freaking law. You can have men with guns come to your house, kick your door in, shoot your dog, take all of your property, put you in handcuffs, potentially go to prison, potentially get large fines, lose your rights to own a gun the rest of your life. So it doesn't matter what they want to call it. If it has all of those ramifications and consequences, and it's going to be enforced out of the barrel of a gun, if that's what they're going to use to enforce it, it's a law. That's what it is. And yeah, the Constitution says only Congress can make laws, right? But how can they be inconvenienced by archaic old documents like the Constitution? I mean, the Constitution, yeah, it's there. They kind of have to acknowledge it a little bit, but it's just a mere inconvenience. All it means is, we'll put it forth for public comment. Oh, yeah, that's good. Because that's how a constitutional republic is supposed to work, right? Where you just basically get everybody in the country in a big room and say, who wants bump stocks banned? Aye. Who wants bump stocks to stay? Aye. The ayes have it. Bump stocks are gone. That is not a constitutional republic. That's a straight democracy. And I'm not going to bore you guys too much with this because I want to show you guys some guns tonight. But other countries have tried straight democracy. Didn't work out very well for them. Literal democracy, actually, as great as it sounds on the surface, straight democracy is a terrible way to run a government. It becomes mob rule. So if you have it where SwitchPod, I don't care if he swears, by the way. I'm just worried about YouTube's policies. So if he wants to swear, then go ahead and approve his comments. I don't mind if people swear in here. That's fine with me, okay? And but just a couple of the things that are like YouTube's policies, like links they don't want posted, they don't want sub for sub, things like that. But as far as actual swearing, it's totally fine with me. Okay, you got me, cool. Anyways, you guys are all free to cuss in here as much as you want. But anyways, mob rule is like this. We got Warsaw Patriot over in the corner, and he says, well, I want to do a wood carving of, because he does wood carving, guys, if you don't know that. As well as guns, he does a lot of wood carving on his channel. And Warsaw's like, well, I want to carve a sign that says coffee on it. Okay. I look over at Richard Hughes and SwitchPod because they're over here next to me, and I give them the old wink, and I say, nah, we don't like coffee, do we? Nope. All right. So the three of us go over there, we surround the guy, and, we're pretty big guys. Warsaw's not quite as big as us. But let's just say the three of us walk up, all three sides of him. All right, dude, you want to make that Black Rifle Coffee Company sign? We're going to throw your ass out the window. That's really what democracy is. It's mob rule. Whoever can get the most people with them that are the toughest, the loudest, that's what dictates the whims. And laws can change. Laws can change like on an almost daily, monthly, yearly basis, just at the whim of what all the people that scream the loudest or march the hardest or get the most violent. I hate to say that, but straight democracy often leads to violence. Because then all of a sudden, Warsaw says, okay, well, the three of you, you're not going to throw me out the window. And he pulls an Uzi out of his drawers. Oh, well, now we're screwed because he can shoot all of us. You guys get the point. Mob rule is not the best thing. Mob rule tends to have this huge pendulum where there can be huge sweeping things where you could have like the radical conservatives take over today. Tomorrow it could be the radical liberals. Nope, not the way it's supposed to work here. And I feel like when, a president just puts up an executive action, then they leave it up for a public comment, it just doesn't remind me at all of the founding principles where we actually have representatives that represent congressional districts. Then, like I said, we have the upper chamber of Congress, the United States Senate. Each state gets 2 senators. So you could be in California, okay? Huge state, huge population, right? Or you could be in Rhode Island, teeny state, teeny population. Guess what? You're both weighted equally in the United States Senate. So the people of Rhode Island have just as much of a voice in the Senate as the people in California do. I think that's pretty cool. I really, really do. Now, on the surface of things, of course, I could say, yeah, you know, I wish California didn't have any United States senators. Well, maybe, but do I really want that? No. Because I'm learning more and more, you know, as time goes on and the way politics have been working lately, don't ever wish for something that's unconstitutional against your enemies. Why? Because there's something that you're going to agree with that they're going to try to take from you based on the same grounds you tried to use against them. So that's where it's like, do I like it? When you see liberals, I'm using liberals in a radical sense. I know some of these words I have to use, guys, just to get the point across are encompassing. But let's just say some radical, crazy liberal. If they're burning the American flag, do I like that? Of course not. Do I want to walk up there and yank the match out of their hand? Do I even want to punch them in the face? Yeah, I don't. I want to stop them from doing that on the surface. But do I really want to stop them? No, actually, because if I take away their right to spit on the flag or burn the flag, and I succeed at it, and let's say all of us succeed at it, then we're going to be in big trouble because they're going to immediately say, well, we don't want you to be on this YouTube channel. We don't want you to talk about gun rights. And there's precedent that we can take it away because you took away our right to, I'm just using the flag because that's a big, you know, controversial thing, right? Well, you took away our right to disgrace the flag. So now we have precedents to take away your right to talk about guns. And don't forget, in their opinion, a lot of people on the other side from us talking about guns is just as radical and just as crazy as us talking about them burning the flag. So we really need to think about that, especially with elections. We're getting geared up for another national election coming a year and a half from now. Be careful. I think that the Bill of Rights should apply to everybody, whether you or I like it or not, which also means it applies to us whether they like it or not. And I think that's a really good way to look at it. Now, this doesn't mean that I'm trying to say that you have to tolerate these people. It doesn't mean you have to be friends with them. I'm not saying that at all. If you have someone that's an enemy that's trying to take your rights away, call them enemy. You don't have to be friendly with them. So please do not mistake what I'm saying here. There's a lot of gun channels out there saying we have to be friends with everybody. I'm definitely not that guy. I'm not telling you to be friends with them. Just watch trying to take away people's God-given rights that are enumerated in the Bill of Rights, because it just keeps setting more and more precedents where they can take away the ones you like. And I don't know about you guys, but I like all of them. So to me, hands off of all of them. And it doesn't matter if it's an agency. It doesn't matter if the president that I voted for did it. It doesn't matter if there's a public comment period. And everyone that lives up and down my street said that they agree with President Trump that I voted for. It just doesn't matter. I don't care. We've had the Bill of Rights for over 240 years. And it's my opinion that that's pretty much what separates us from most other countries. Not just the document, not just the words on the paper, but the fact that people have actually been willing to die for this. People have gone to war to try to keep enemies from invading us. We have been invaded on our soil many times, including just about 70 years ago. And it's just kind of crazy to think now that we would just voluntarily just give up certain rights, like this one's not as important as that one. And it's just all nuts. All right, guys, I'm going to take a quick peek at the comments here. Okay, old Red, White, and Blue says, might have the votes in Missouri Senate on Second Amendment Preservation Act. Dude, that would be freaking awesome, man. That would be awesome. And welcome tonight, Red, White, and Blue. And I know old Red, White, and Blue. He's definitely not going to want no one doing nothing bad with the flag, and I don't either. So please, guys, understand what that analogy was. That was just letting us, just kind of reminding you guys that it's all important. The whole entire, all 10 of them are very important. Of course, I talk about, the Second Amendment a little more on here, but I think the First Amendment is used just as much on this channel, right? Probably primarily the First Amendment if you really get down to it. Yeah, Brastard says, country is over in the long run. Even if we get some short-term victories from what I've seen my whole life down here on the border, and especially now, it does seem like that. I can't really point to, like, you know, any long period of time where we kept getting rights back. I can start with the National Firearms Act, right? Which is what, over 80 years old now? And just kind of just watching it go like this, you know. Yeah, I don't want to be negative, but I can't disagree with you, man. You know, I'd like to argue with you on this. You would like to argue with yourself, but I can't disagree with you, Brastard. I'm not really seeing us get anything back. It's considered a good year in the Second Amendment if we just didn't lose anything at all. Actually, that's a great year. Let me take that back. If we just didn't lose anything, it's a great year. If we just lost a little bit here and there, that's considered a good year. And it's pretty sad. Like Seth said, America's the modern Rome. That's what I was kind of getting at earlier. Other countries in the past, like I said, that have had straight democracies, right? Ninja Scout says, come to Missouri. We will have all pro-gun people here. Yeah, because as pro-gun as Missouri is, of course, that state's not all pro-gun. You guys obviously have big cities that are probably majority liberals. That's I'm only saying that because that's every state in the whole country. There is no such thing as a state that doesn't have an attack on the Second Amendment. So it's just the way it is nowadays. Like Warsaw Patriot said, it's an oxymoron what our country's doing. Yeah, that's a good way to word it. Let's see here. I hate how it skips on me. I'll scroll a little bit and then the comments go whoop. So sometimes when I pause for a minute, it's not because I forgot how to read necessarily. I just need to get back on track here. Old Red, White, and Blue says, communists are communists. They only care about the Constitution when it furthers their goal at the moment. Then they want to strip yours regardless. Yeah, that does seem to be the case. When it's good for them, then they say, well, yeah. But when it's not good for them, it's nothing more than an inconvenience. And it appears to be kind of a minor inconvenience more and more. Let's see here. Mr. Jerron Lewis is here. How's it going, man? Nice to see you. Massachusetts he lives in. Not quite such a gun-friendly state, is it? That sucks, man, too. I mean, gosh, Massachusetts, that's one of the original states, guys. I mean, that's the Massachusetts was the epitome of freedom, was it not? It's just crazy, isn't it? It really, really is. Yeah, the Mexican military, Brasser's talking about. Didn't they just detain a few of our troops recently? Like, disarmed them and detained them? I haven't had a chance to really research it, but I hear some of our guys were disarmed and detained by the Mexican military near the border. Maybe one of you guys that live down south know a little more about it, but that's crazy, isn't it? Practical Nurse was talking about it. I'm sure a lot of you guys know who he is. I just caught his video from yesterday. I've been subbed to him a long time. You guys know Practical Nurse, right? Really neat guy. And he was talking about that crap. Like, really? And he said how when he served, no, when a foreign military came up to you to disarm you, that was either an act of war or at the very least an act of aggression. Like, you don't hand your weapon over to an enemy military just like that. But I think that's what just happened here within the United States border. Speaking of United States veterans, we just had one pop in here. Mike J, how's it going, man? We all thank Mike for his service, and maybe quite a few of you guys. If there's any veterans in the house, say hey real quick. I know Mike is. Mike, what about you? If you were doing an exercise near the southern border down there and the Mexican military come in and disarmed you and your unit, would that be all good? It's just crazy what I'm hearing lately. And then Brastard says the other side of the story. We've captured Mexican troops also. See, that's the thing, man. There's so much stuff that goes on. But Mike J says nope. Last time I checked, you know, it's just crazy, guys. I don't want to get too far into it, but it's like, really, when our troops are getting disarmed inside of our own border, it's kind of a little, I don't really like the sound of that too much. Let's just put it that way. Let's see here. Over on White and Blue says, and we need to teach the Constitution more thoroughly in depth, as well as balanced history courses. I agree. I agree. That's the thing with history. History is one of the most interesting things, right? Because if somebody can't see something right in front of their face, right? If they can't literally rely on their core senses to prove it or not, like can they smell it, taste it, feel it, look at it, they kind of have to take somebody else's word for it. So history is one of those things that can be dictated and narrated many different ways. And just the way certain stories can be told, or just leaving out little relevant facts and sprinkling in just enough distraction, can fundamentally change history. And I did a video on 1984 like a month ago. I mean, just look in that book of what can happen when people try to change the past and change history to where people don't even know what reality is anymore. Well, then you can tell them anything, you know? Yeah, and like Seth says, without history, we are doomed to repeat it. And I think what you meant to say is without us remembering history, right? Without acknowledging history. Thanks for reminding me of that, Seth, because that's the thing. When they say, like, and here's the problem with YouTube, okay? I have a gun here that, okay, this gun here started off its life in Imperial, Germany, okay? This is a Walther Model 4. This particular gun would have been made near the beginning of World War I. Well, this was a vet bringback from World War II, this specific model. So this was carried by a Nazi. Now, this gun itself doesn't have any Waffen-Amps on it. It still has the Imperial marking because it's weird. I don't want to get off on too much of a sidetrack here, but, you know, a lot of the guns that were Imperial marked but were carried like by an officer that also served in World War II, a lot of these officers kept their pistol through and still used their World War I sidearm, so it didn't need to go into reacceptance. So you could have a gun just like this, perfect example, that served in World War II, but it does not bear the Waffen-Amp. And as you guys know, what there's different Waffen-Amps, but one of the most famous ones is the Iron Eagle, you know, spread with its wings out, and it's clutching with its talons a swastika. Well, if I were to do a video on that, talking about Nazi Waffen-Amps, I would not be able to show that Nazi swastika in my thumbnail. YouTube prohibits it. And YouTube would take the video down and give me a strike on my channel for showing a swastika. Now, that's what Seth was getting at. And I'm not putting words in Seth's mouth, but what he said reminds me of this. So what are we going to do? We're going to forget that the Nazis ever existed? Are we going to forget about the Bolsheviks? Are we going to forget about the fascists? Are we going to forget about David Koresh and Waco? Are we going to forget about Ruby Ridge? Well, okay, we forget, which people like YouTube are trying to force us to forget. When you're not allowed to show that swastika, and you're not allowed to put that out there as a symbol to remind people, oh, I know that's bad. What does it mean? Because there's people out there right now that know that it's bad, and that's all they know, but they have no idea what it means. And I would go further with that. If they do not even know what it means or why it's bad, I think there's a lot better chance we could be doomed to repeat it. Because if you know your enemy and you know what's going on, you can say, well, look, when Hitler first rose to power, he started talking like this. He started doing this. He started taking these little baby steps, then a little bit bigger steps, then huge steps, then leaps and bounds. Then he went off the deep end. Well, we can have a leader today, whether it's in another country or this one, start going along the same courses as Hitler. And if all of us know about it and all of us know what happened before, and we're like, okay, this is a broken record. Like, we saw this happen before, right? Like, even if we weren't alive, we remember how the Nazis took power. We're going to stop President so-and-so because they're really getting, like, almost over the crest of that hill. That'd be a great thing if they were stopped, right? Because we saw the warning signs, we predicted it. But if nobody knows what it is, or so few people even know what it is, that it's irrelevant, how's that going to work out? So what service is YouTube doing to trying to keep the earth a free place, a happy place, a place that's not oppressed by tyranny, that's not oppressed by racism, that's not oppressed by ethnic cleansing, and all these crazy things that have happened before, that have happened not once, but like many, many times? If we don't even know what it is, how are we going to stop it? The reason why if Mike J was serving down at the southern border, he would know what a Mexican, federale will say. He would know what they were because they would be wearing their uniform and it would have their rank and whatnot. Well, okay. But when you don't even know what it is, when you're not even allowed to show a symbol that represented, the Third Reich, one of the most evil reigns in history, how are we going to stop it next time? And that goes back to that old cliche saying that's very important. If we forget history, we can find ourselves doomed to repeat it. So now look, if somebody's on there saying, I want to start the Third Reich up again or the Fourth Reich again, and I want to kill millions of people, well, no, I think most of us, I'm sure all of us are going to disavow that. But if we're wanting to simply teach about an old war that happened and how there were 12 million people killed or 20 million people killed, no, that was just on the Nazi side of things, and it's weird because you can't show the Nazi symbol, but you can still show this. Isn't that interesting? Well, a quick trivia question for you guys. And if you guys have been watching my videos for a while, I did a video on this. Under this symbol right here, this hammer and sickle, right? The Bolsheviks, which became the Communists, Soviet Union, USSR. Quick trivia question, guys. That swastika, that emblem, I can't even show you guys, or they'll literally take this video down and they will give me a strike under that symbol. So you just have to remember what it looks like. Who were killed? Okay, which one killed more people? Hitler with the Nazis or Stalin with this? Who killed more people? And this is fine though. I see a lot of presidential candidates for 2020 running under this. The socialists, because this and socialism are the same thing, okay, guys? These are just different ways of like the pot calling the kettle black. I mean, you can say, well, I'm a socialist with, democratic leanings, or I'm a democratic socialist. Well, saying you're a democratic socialist, that's like saying, okay, I'm going to like screw as many chicks as I can to try to become a virgin again. And you think about that for a minute and you're like, well, how does that work? So democratic socialist, communist, I mean, not a lot of difference, is there? And Switchpod and South both got it right. Stalin, this guy right here, first under Lenin, Vladimir Lenin, when the Bolsheviks took over, right? Bolsheviks. We sold this rifle to the Tsar right here. Quick history lesson, guys. This is a 1917 Remington Armory. Okay. If it'll show up in the focus here. Okay, Remington Armory, 1917. Okay. This was a rifle that we sold to the Tsar. There's the previous logo they used to use there, right? The United States, 2 manufacturers made Mosin Nagants because they couldn't keep up with production enough. And under the rule of the Tsar, under the ruling of the Tsar, we sold them Remington Arms, Mosins, and Westinghouse Mosins. These are M91 infantry rifles, a little bit longer than the 9130. They, of course, have hex receivers. These are American-made Mosins. Well, these were going to the Tsar, right? 1917, remember that date. Okay? And remember the name Lenin. Now, as this story says here, we had a contract with the Tsar. If you're like, well, why were we selling them to Lenin? Well, we weren't. We were selling them to Tsar Nicholas, right? Well, it says right here, the Bolsheviks took control of Russia during the October Revolution of 1917, establishing the Russian Socialist Federated Soviet Republic, a precursor to the USSR. This undersized note was among the first issues of the new communist government. Bolsheviks, communists, socialists, right? And there's the currency with that now, became famous, still is famous today, hammer and sickle, right? Well, what happened is Remington and Westinghouse sold these to the previous regime. These rifles were made. They started to get shipped. And then the Bolsheviks took over. They reneged on the deal. They didn't pay the bill. The United States government had to buy back like the vast majority of these to keep like one of our largest arms manufacturers, and then Westinghouse, one of our largest industrial manufacturers, to keep them from going bankrupt, the United States had to buy most of them back just to keep these companies afloat. They were used in training in the United States Armed Services. There was even an exploration to the North Pole, I believe, that they actually took these with one of the, I think it was the Army that did that expedition. I might be off on that. But yeah, and it's just funny because I have a gun right there from that. That business deal went south. We were in good with the previous government, and then when the new Bolsheviks, socialists took over, they reneged on the Mosin-Nagant contracts and just stiffed, Remington and Westinghouse with the bill, even though they had made a lot of them up ahead of time. So I know some of you may or may not be familiar, but yes, the United States did make Mosin-Nagants, and that's kind of how the contract went down. I'm Dapes here. What's up, man? You said, is that a trick question? Stalin, of course, by about 13 million. Obviously, and it wasn't a trick question, but I asked it kind of like it was, because here's the thing. You can't even show a swastika so that we can remember it. Not that we would celebrate it. I would hope, if there's anybody in here that would celebrate that, I don't even want to hang out with you. Like, you have the right, don't get me wrong, but nobody likes that guy, right? But let's just say none of us celebrate that. Nobody I know does. Let's just put it that way. You can never say never. This world's a big place, right? But you can't even talk about it to remember it. But this you can. This you can. Communism. People are running on this right now for 2020. That's their platform. If you elect me, I'll become the next Stalin. I mean, they haven't said that yet, but just short of that, if you look at their policies, it's hard to tell any difference. A lot of these candidates that are running. Che Guevara, yeah, there's a real winner, right? Warsaw said. What's up, Seven Wonders? Nice to see you here, man. Let's see here. Bastard says, no, you don't understand. They're going to do communism good this time. Yeah, communism good. Hey, man, as long as you're content with no rights and you just trust the government to provide everything for you, I guess you'll have a false sense of euphoria until they decide they can't afford to feed anybody and they can't afford to give everyone free college. Well, after they go bankrupt from that and they can't afford for people to eat, then what? I mean, Stalin used to like to send people with unloaded Mosin-Nagants with bayonets fixed against German Panzer tank divisions. And I looked up a Panzer tank division, and I think a Panzer tank division had like 90 tanks in it, by the way, just so you know. And they would send human waves of people. Now, if that's not population control, then what is? Like, I can't even think of a better example, Oh, red, white, and blue. Yeah, my collection's kind of eclectic. I've been at it a while. This is just my shop, too. The main collection's at home. I just kind of try to rotate stuff in and out so I can show it to you all on film. But yeah, I do have quite a few interests. Yeah, I don't know. Warsaw says they're allowing documentaries. Look, guys, I'm literally not a YouTube expert. Maybe I am allowed to show it. I'm under the impression I'm not. And Ian from Forgotten Weapons did a whole thing on it. Like, whenever he does a Nazi firearm, he likes to show the flag, a little circle of it in the avatar, and he blurs it out. And on one of the Q&As, Ian went into it, and he has over 1 million subs. I'm pretty sure he probably knows the rules. So I'll be honest with you guys. Ian's one of the ones, as well as some other big YouTubers. They're whiting out and fuzzing out the swastika because they said they'll be banned. So maybe there is a way to show one. But I'm not going to take the chance and put it up on my screen, obviously, because I'm under the impression, and again, whether you like him or not, who cares? I like him. He seems fine, whatever. But Ian McCollum from Forgotten Weapons, he did a whole thing on it, and he wasn't happy about it, but he's at least decided with his interpretation of the ruling that you're not allowed to. And I think a guy like that with 1 million subs actually has he has a direct rep where he can get answers from YouTube you and I couldn't. So that's the only reason I'm mentioning Ian's name, because a guy like him does have special access to YouTube that I or you would never have. So, let's see here. Ape's bringing up a good point here. Hitler's birthday was a national holiday until he died. Yeah, May Day is still being celebrated. And don't forget where Labor Day comes from. You want to know what's up with May Day, dude, Armed Ape? I know that you had no way of knowing this, but my birthday is May 1st. My birthday's coming up here in 5 days, and May Day is May 1st. Now, what day you're born, whatever. I mean, but yeah, I'm actually I'm actually born on May Day, May 1st. And if you guys could take a wild guess at what year it is, well, it's in the it's kind of in the channel name, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I was born on May 1st, which I believe is May Day, right? Yeah, okay, yep. Yep. So like Mr. John Lewis is saying, don't chance it. YouTube has been messing with guns and gadgets for less than that. And that's why I don't want to risk it, because I enjoy hanging out with you all. And this channel gets shut down, like no one's even gonna notice, and I don't even have a phone number to call YouTube. So yeah, I have to sit there and kind of like censor myself so that I can still exercise some of my First Amendment and be able to at least talk to you guys, you know? It's kind of crazy, isn't it? Okay, Seven Wonders is 5/8 German and 1/8 American Indian. Okay. 1/8 milkman and 1/8 postman? Mailman? I don't know. Let's see here. Just checking over in the comments. You guys are leaving some good comments. I started late and you guys are getting more active as time goes on. 1917. I have another 1917 gun. I kind of want to get a drink anyways. So if you guys can hold on for 5 minutes, I'm just going to do a little gun point after this. I kind of got into the whole political thing, but I do want to show you guys some of the guns and give you guys a couple previews for next week. And by the way, tomorrow evening, I should be able to have time to film another SKS video. It's been a crazy week, guys, but I brought a couple more SKSs into the shop. I've got a couple early 50s Russian examples and the 1949 that I started to show you. So we are going to start talking about some early Russian guns probably tomorrow, very worst case scenario Sunday. So I am still doing the SKS thing. I appreciate you guys' patience, and you guys just got to be patient with me all summer because that's my busiest time. I'm still going to try to put out videos almost every day, but if you don't see a video from me every single day in the summer, it's probably because I was putting, like, in some cases, 14, 15-hour days in. But if I can keep my days to 10, 12 hours, I love making videos. So just to let you guys know that. All right, I'll be back in just like 5 minutes. And when I walk back to my computer, I'm going to grab you guys another really cool gun that's in the title of this video that was made in 1917 that I think you guys will like. So I'll be right back. All right, you guys can see the barrel for right now. But let me check up and see what I missed. Let's see how much crap you guys were talking about me while I was gone there. Let's see. He's gone, guys. We can say whatever we want. All right, except for YouTube keeps records, so I can bust you guys. Let's see if anyone was talking any smack. Oh, Francis showed up. What's going on, man? Oh, you missed a ton, Francis. Well, you missed an hour and 10 minutes worth, so. I post all my live streams, obviously, so you guys can watch it later. Yeah, there's some pretty good channels. I'm lucky to have some pretty cool people in this chat. There's a lot of good content providers that hang out in here. Seven Wonders, great channel. Make sure you guys check him out if you're not familiar. Let's see here. We already talked about SwitchPod, Warsaw Patriots here. Brastard. What do you guys think of the Brastard channel? I like his channel. He does some pretty cool stuff, you know, like mosing the gun, shooting a pencil with a 308 blank. I mean, that's the stuff Demo Ranch used to do before he kind of became not really a gun channel anymore. He just kind of like, yeah, he shoots guns. I mean, he's a gun channel, but definitely not a Second Amendment channel. We know that. But Brastard's the new Demo Ranch. What do you guys think of that? Because remember, if you guys have been on YouTube a while, Demolition Ranch, what first got him famous, and I used to love his channel, is he'd make all the unique shotgun rounds. And he'd put like different calibers and different guns. And he used to do all that cool stuff, right? Making his own stuff. So I think Brastard's the new Demo Ranch. What do you guys think? Now, here's the thing, Brastard. If you end up getting 6.4 million subs, which I think Demo Ranch has got that many or more, don't forget me, man. But I'm gonna say Brastard is about the closest thing we have now to the old Demolition Ranch. What do you guys think? He's got to make sure it shoots straight before he pins the front and rear sights. Make sure that pencil is 1 MOA, right? Am I right, Brastard? You didn't even use the proper blank in there, did you? Oh, speaking of United States veterans, we have Mateo 1371 here. How's it going, man? I didn't forget your name. Just something else came sideways when I was reading it, but we shouted Mike J out for being a vet earlier, and another one just joined us. So let's see here. Where's that? There was a guy that popped in here earlier. When I took a little break, I was looking at my phone. I think we have the Puerto Rican Hillbilly was in here earlier. Are you still here, man? That's a pretty cool dude. He's just started coming to the channel lately. A pro gun guy down south of us there. That's awesome. South of me. When I say us, I live in northern United States, right? Warsaw, I've read a lot of your comments tonight, buddy. So I'm not sure what you're talking about, but I'll forget it. Let's see here. Brastard shot regular 308 aim and Mosin's too, and he's also made his own gun. So yeah, that's it. This is the new Demolition Ranch, what Demolition Ranch used to be. Let's see here. Yeah, I just dug this up, old red, white, and blue. I was coming out from outside, and I said, well, I think maybe they fought a World War I battle here. So I'll just dig this on up for the fellas tonight. But let's see here. Warsaw Patriot has an ancestor that was killed by the Soviets and the Polish secret police in 1945. Yeah, that sucks, man. They killed a lot of people. Like, a lot is probably the biggest understatement of the night. Sucks. No person was more or less valuable that they killed either. And we're going to have to forget about it because they won't talk about it anymore. At least not in most schools. Anyways, you guys know what this is, right? I got to get way back, like in the other room, to get it on all of it on screen here. This is a Danzig production. Let's see if we can get it to focus in there. Yep. Danzig, 1917. It's got the S here on the barrel, meaning this one was properly barreled for it was new back then, Spitzer round. So this basically shoots the same modern 8mm Mauser ammo that we shoot today. And you'll note here, this particular barrel is actually a 7.93. So as you guys know, 8mm Mauser is actually a 7.92 by 57. Now this still shoots regular old 7.92 by 57 8mm Mauser ammo, but back then they would actually label exactly the millimeters of that particular bore when they would measure, across the lands, like how they measure a bore. I'm not going to get into the whole thing. It gets a little boring, but there was a lot of round development at that time. Different versions of the 8mm, where it went from the round nose type to the Spitzer round, which is what we know today. And when they developed the Spitzer round, they put on these updated, now these were modern back then. We call these the roller coaster sights. I think they're called like the Lungewehr. Pardon my German, but Lungewehr sight. I just tend to call them the roller coaster sight. Now these are interesting. These were actually sighted in at a battle zero of 400 meters. So cranked all the way down where it is right now, 400 meters. That's as low as you could get this sight to come down. Now obviously up to, you could actually take an aim shot by just sliding this leaf. This would be a 2,000 meter shot. Now to aim this at 2,000 meters, I'm literally having to bring the gun now from my shoulder. I can't even see the front sight. So I have to literally bring it like down into my armpit. And just now, at about this angle right here, I can actually see 2,000 meters. So, yeah. The gun was sighted into 2,000 meters. But could the soldier actually see 2,000 meters away? Well, that's a whole different argument for a different day. But they actually ran into a lot of trouble with these guns where 400 wasn't close enough. See, they thought in World War I that all of the fighting would be done at a mile away. And when they had a lot of the trench warfare and they started getting closer and closer with the trenches, people would need to take 100-meter shots. And if you aimed at center mass at 100 meters with it on 400 meters, it could go over the guy's head. So these sights actually became quite troubling, even though at that time, with the development of that Spitzer bullet, that's where this S that's on the barrel becomes relevant. This is a Spitzer marked barrel here. You can see the S right there up near the sight, right? Now this is a pretty neat one right here. This specific Gewehr 98, it has all the proper proofs on here. Some of these proofs that are on this gun are actually the same exact proofs that you'll find on this little Walther, where they use the little crowns. And you'll see like a crown over M that's stamped sideways behind the Walther banner. The crown meant it was accepted, right, under Imperial Germany. The N in this case stood for nitro, which nitro was their way of saying smokeless powder. Because not too long before, this era and this era here, they were still using black powder cartridges as service rounds. So obviously you wouldn't want to shoot smokeless powder generally out of a black powder gun. So we might think it's obvious today. But back even into World War I, there was still some black powder cartridges and guns floating around enough to where they actually felt that it was important to say, look, this is nitro proofed. You can shoot this new modern smokeless powder. This particular one is what we would call 32 ACP, but in other countries it's known as 7.65 millimeter Browning, named after John Browning, who developed the round. And this round was developed in 1899. So when this gun first came out in the early 19-teens, 7.65 Browning, otherwise known as 32 ACP, was actually a modern round. It was like right on the cutting edge of, modern small pistol rounds. And in all fairness, the 32 is still in pretty common use today. There's a ton of guns chambered in it, used by many countries all the way up until recently, and in some countries still today. But anyways, enough of that. I'm getting off on a tangent. I don't know how geeky you guys like to get into this stuff, so this one's a pretty cool one. This gun is all matching, and it even has an original World War I sling on it. just these slings are rather uncommon in and of themselves. But this is an original 100-plus-year-old sling. Every number on this gun matches, guys. And I mean, like, literally every number. Obviously, our barrel's matching, our receiver, our bolt. The barrel bands are all numbered on these guns. I mean, they literally numbered everything. The barrel bands even, you know, crown proofed there. You'll see they put that little crown proof on there. Almost everything in this era, because remember, this is pre-Nazi, right? They weren't using Waffen-Ops. They were using crown acceptance marks for the Imperial Army. We can see, let's see if we can get that to, you know, we'll see a 95 right there. The main numbers are going to be 3495 with the letter A, and this was made in 1917. So for you German collectors, you guys know how Germany did things for a long time, even up into World War II, is each year they would allot 10,000 serial numbers for each letter. So they would say, we'll start with A, 1 through 99999, then letter B, and then go 1 through 99999. So this meant in the year 1917, since this is a letter A prefix gun, this was the 3,495th Gewehr 98. And if it was a B, you would have added 10,000 to that. So then this would have been the 13,000th gun. But in this case, yeah, it was the 3,495th gun of 1917. So this would have been right there, guys, right there in World War I. Even down to where when I say this is all matching, I mean, like, if you guys know about these German guns, you guys know what I mean. Only the Germans went to this extent that I recall. We've got the 95 here. Even the screw has the 95 stamped into it. So when you say an all matching German gun, you literally have to go down to the screws. And some of these little parts are pretty tough to get matching, guys, because it just, what's the odds over the last, 112 years that it didn't get lost somewhere in Germany or in a multitude of different countries this gun could have fought in? And then it got to the United States at a certain point. Somebody taking it apart to clean it could have stripped or lost a screw. So, yeah, she's all matching, boys. It's got the cleaning rod. And this is basically, your typical Mauser action. It does not have the third locking lug on it like the K98Ks, which are the ones most of you are probably more familiar with. But it is still a pretty modern advancement by Mauser standards. You can see that Paul Mauser decided at this point to put these vent holes in the bolt. That was in case you had a case rupture. The gases needed to vent somewhere. So some countries would put a hole in the top of the receiver. I'm sure you guys have seen before. They chose to vent the bolt right here with these scallops. This was an improvement. The older design Mausers, like 1871 models and whatnot, lack these. This has a correct straight bolt handle. The Gewehr 98 always had straight bolt handles. You might see a curved one here and there. That's probably something somebody did to kind of sporterize it. Or maybe an Arsenal did it somewhere. But a proper, correct, German military Gewehr 98 is always going to have a straight bolt handle. You'll notice the receiver on this is more, and the light might make it where you guys can't quite see what I'm talking about, but the receiver is in what we call a patina, where it's definitely not rusted, but it's not really blued either. It's kind of that brown. Can you guys see like the brown showing up here? This is what we refer to as patina. Same thing with the bolt. We'll see the bolt's in a state of more of patina than it is actually blued. However, if we come up to the barrel is actually blued. Well, this is proper. A Gewehr 98 originally was issued, they would blue the barrels and some of the other components, but they would not blue the actual receiver section or the bolt. Those were in the white. So when it was brand new, it might have had, oops, knocking rounds off, this kind of look to it because it was just, white polished steel. Well, after 100 and something years, the oil that would be rubbed on this gun to keep it preserved and in service with oxidization and the elements kind of gives it that patina look. There's really no other way to describe it other than that. So you'll notice the receiver's in more of a patina, where the barrel is definitely blued, and nice bluing too. And I looked at this bluing very closely, because bluing even gets its own patina in and of itself over the years. And I have no reason to believe this gun's ever been reblued. And there's really no pitting on it either. So I would say the soldier, but the 100 soldiers that may have had this gun throughout their career actually really took care of it. And this is an old import. This came from a long-time collector that's had it for a long time. But this gun definitely came in before 1968, because there's no import markings anywhere on this gun. Which, as you guys probably know, or if you don't know, I'll tell you, before 1968, before the Gun Control Act, we didn't have to have import marks on guns. So it kind of makes them a little bit cooler. There's no United States stamps on here of, like, you know, city of origin and all that crap. Remember, I was just last week ripping on these stupid billboards that Century puts on with their electro pens. See all this garbage that shouldn't be there? Well, before 1968, when guns came in the country, nothing. You could give this to an old German if you could bring him back to life from 1917, and he'd recognize this gun. There's nothing that's changed on it since then. And that's pretty cool, because, well, there we go with our government and its infinite wisdom, right? Like, by putting an import mark on it, that's going to make the gun less dangerous, right? And it's going to make sure it stays out of the hands of a criminal if they put some extra, you know, billboard that's basically advertising. This is basically a Century Arms advertisement, is what it is. But federal law requires this after 68. Another quick factoid, I don't know if you guys knew this, but before 68, guns didn't even have to have serial numbers on them. So before that, the government wasn't really worried about tracking guns or keeping a registry. Maybe some people in the government wanted to, but as a whole, no, they didn't want to do that. Like, how can you even track something that's not numbered? So, yeah, guns were not required to be serialized prior to 1968. And you can still have that gun today, just so you know, as long as it was made before 68. Now, if the gun ever did have a serial number on it, you can't alter it. So even though this gun came in the country before 68, now that it's after 68, since it had one, it cannot be changed. Now, military guns have always had serial numbers. That wasn't just for gun control per se. And yes, that is one of the reasons these other countries did, because Germany, Russia, and others all had serious gun control back in the day, guys. But they also would use it just for inventory purposes, just for military logistics too, right? So you'll find, you know, some old guns primarily made in the United States specifically that have no serial numbers on them. If they were made before 68, you're fine. Good to go. So yeah, guys, I thought you guys might like this, the old Gewehr 98. I will say that there's a couple other little cool things about it. Right now, I have there's a little hook up here, okay, where you can put your sling. I don't know if you noticed that. See this little hook? This is a spot where you can actually, this is for, like, if you just want the sling out of your way, but you're not really gonna use the sling. You can put this hook up here. And right now the sling swivel is on the trigger guard, right? Well, there's also a sling swivel back here. Let me see if I can do this on camera. This thing's kind of unwieldy, but it's spring loaded. So I just pushed in on this. See this right here? Now I released my sling. I'm sorry, guys. This gun's just so long. And now I'm going to bring it back, and I'm going to come into the rear spot. So now I'm going into the rear sling swivel, right? And I'm going to push on this. And there we go. Now I have the sling slung from the sling swivel up here on this, you know, rear barrel band. And I have it slung on the bottom of the buttstock. So now the gun, depending on the shooter's size, obviously, it might need adjusted a little bit, could actually be slung and carried. See how big the sling just got? Well, if you're going to be shooting the gun a lot, and there's different manuals of arms where you could wrap yourself around the sling like this. See how I'm doing this with my hand here? Where you could use that to help steady your shot. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the United States military still teaches certain techniques of using a sling to brace yourself, right? You could use it, or if it was just in your way, like I said, this is totally modular. For those of you that thought that quick release slings were a new thing, nope. Imperial Germany had them in 1917, I'll tell you that. Now I'm going to disconnect here, bring it back up to the trigger guard area. Gosh, this rifle's like 5 foot long, guys. Quick connected right back into here. And now I want to get rid of some of my slop. I just grab this little keeper, bring it up front. Let me try to get it on camera for you guys. See right here? I'm just going to hook that in to here. And that just made my sling a lot smaller. Now my sling's out of my way. So, I don't know. I'm sure someone's done a YouTube video on this before, but I really haven't seen a lot of people explain, you know, a proper Gervais 98 sling. And there's just not a whole lot of these slings out there. I know there's reproductions, but a lot of the reproductions don't quite get this right for some reason or another. Anyways, yeah. Gervais 98, 1917. That seems to be the year right now. And it's kind of cool to think about, you know, 1917 Mosin, made by Remington in the United States, sold to the Tsar in Russia. Bolsheviks took over, okay? Didn't pay their bill. A lot of them got sent back to the United States. Now, keep in mind, a lot of these still stayed in Russia and were used in Russia. Well, when they fought against Finland in the Winter War, the Finns took a lot of these guns. So you'll see Finnish capture. United States-made Mosins that were sold to Russia. You'll see ones that have United States flaming bomb marks. Those are the ones the government and the military bought back from Russia. Or, I'm sorry, not bought back from Russia, but bought from Remington and Westinghouse when the Bolsheviks, the communists, defaulted. And, you know, were used here mainly for training and kind of just to keep the companies from going bankrupt. I think they paid them like $20 a piece for them or something at that time. And these were available, you know, sold to civilians on the U.S. market for a pretty cheap price. Same year, 1917, somebody else was in full swing, World War I, and that would be the Germans. So there's a lot of story with this stuff. And like Francis reminded me, don't forget Spanish Civil War use. Lots of Spanish Civil War use as far as the Mosins. And you'll see there's certain markings and characteristics too. And I'm skipping some wars, guys, too. Don't get me wrong. But let me go set this back over here, and I'll show you guys a couple more things. You know what I'm going to have to start doing, guys? I said this is going to be an hour stream, and I'm trying to wrap it up pretty soon here, but you guys are all so cool, and there's so much, so many good comments I'd like to read that I can't do just like an hour stream. Should I do this from now on so I can keep this nice and short and not waste everyone's time? Should I like just pre-record my stream in private? So let's see here if anyone else showed up here. Randall Hatcher's here. What's up, man? How about the German P-38? What's the history on it? Are they collectible? What are they worth? Oh, I love the P-38. I really do. And I wouldn't say a lot of them, but I have a few of them, you know, a fair amount of P-38s. Maybe I'll bring those out for a stream coming up here. But yeah, they're getting to be quite collectible. P-38s, there's a lot of different types. Some of them are, well, they're all, if they're German World War II, they're going to have a high degree of collectability basically regardless. But there's some certain variations that are actually quite rare and quite collectible. And they were a great gun, very revolutionary for their time. I mean, basically, if you look at a Beretta 92, still somewhat current service weapon in the United States military. Yeah, the SIG replaced it, but I'm certain there's still more Berettas in use in the United States military now than there is SIGs at this point. And yeah, look at the Beretta 92. Look at a P-38, a Walther P-38. Walther HP, which was the Harris pistol, that was the original civilian model. Walther P-38s have an interesting story, really, where it was first more of a civilian pistol, and it used to have the big Walther banner, just like this on here, same Walther banner that this Model 4 has, and then it would say, you know, here's pistol, HP. Well, obviously Hitler and the Third Reich took a liking to them, and they changed over to a military nomenclature of P-38. Post-war, they became known as the P-1. There was also a lot of post-war ones still called P-38 also. So it gets kind of tricky. You can have a post-war P-38 that'll say P-38, like that's its proper noun. Or you could find them that say P1 after the fact. There's ones that were made in France after the war, where there were sanctions on Germany at the time, where they couldn't really make many arms, so they were getting around them. And you know, France made some. Manhurin, if you guys are familiar with like that famous MR77 or 73 revolver, that same factory, it's like Manhurin, I think it's pronounced. They made P38s, which were P1s, and they have the little like Manhurin French gear on them. Those were sold back to Germany to be used by their police, because again, at that time they were under a prohibition from making guns. There's different date codes. There's you know, there's like the Czech versions that were made post-war that are worth money. There's, yeah, if you guys want to know more about P38s, let me know. If anyone besides Randa would like to know, I could really talk about German handguns for quite a while on a future episode. You know, I could bring a Luger in if you guys like those. You know, broom handle, P38, P1. I'm kind of into all of them. JC says, dude, you always have some good stuff. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I'm glad you like it. I wouldn't say whether my stuff's good or not, but if you guys like it, I'll take that as a compliment. Swiss Lugers, like White and Blue says, the pinnacle of early 1900s manufacturing and craftsmanship. Yeah, the Swiss do indeed make really nice stuff. You know, the Germans too. Even the Japanese, with all due respect. Nick Pierce, hi, how's it going? Yeah, the Czech, Francis Petra, the Czech VZ24, VZ2447. It was sold to quite a few different countries. Romania, yes, almost everyone used the Mauser or the Mosin. Romania tended to be more of a Mosin country, but from what I understand, I think Romania was using some Czech Mausers also. No, the Gerwehr 98s did not have bent bolt handles on them. There were some sniper versions of the K98s that did, but I don't think a Gerwehr 98 ever properly had a bent bolt handle, Warsaw. Let's see what we got here. Seven Wonders is wondering where I find all these guns. Well, I went and someone said I dug that one up. I dug it out of a hole in the ground on my way in here, right? Let's see here. Let me take a quick peek at the comments here. Yeah, the Gerwehr 98, at this point by 1917, they had a disc in the stock, and that was used to aid in bolt disassembly. The previous ones before that were made like right around the early 1900, those used to have a disc on there that would have like a unit marking in it or whatnot. And then they kind of went away from the disc. I'm not sure exactly what year, but by the 19-teens, they had gone away from the solid disc that's in the side and gone to the that classic hole in the middle, which is to aid in bolt disassembly. And it does actually help. And I think I have a rifle here. I'll grab a Mauser real quick with a disc so you guys know what I'm talking about. Actually, I'll grab two. Since we were talking about the K98, I do so happen to have a random K98 sitting here. So this K98, just like that Gerwehr 98, we're still talking about this disc right here, guys. And what you could use this disc for is to aid in actually the way the bolt disassembles, to take the internals of the bolt apart. You could use this as a hole to press your firing pin through to disassemble. So this would be a disassembly disc. That Gerwehr I showed you guys, same type of disc, right? And you'll notice that, I'll show you real quick, guys. On a K98, we still have the two gas relief ports, and we still have our front two locking lugs, but we also have this rear lug. And that's what I was getting at earlier, how they went to a third lug later on, a safety lug, if you will, right? If the front ones were to break off, in theory, this third lug would keep the bullet from hitting the shooter in the face. This is the DOU 44. So keep in mind, this gun's almost 30 years newer than that Gerwehr I showed you. And by then, they had figured the sights out a little better, guys. Oops. These sights actually start at 100 meters and then graduate out to the 2000. So by the time the carbine came along, Carabiner 98, we see here, we could go back to a 100 meter Battlefield Zero, which was much appreciated. There's a lot of history behind German troops complaining like crazy that they couldn't shoot anything inside of 400 meters, right? And this is a Model 98, as seen on the side. The Gerwehr 98 should have showed you guys that. It says GEW 98, but it's in that old English, like kind of cursive, old English type font. It's nice to always have a Mauser hanging around. Anyways, back to the stock disc. So where the German Mausers went to that takedown, the early Gewehrs and other countries like this Chilean Modelo 1912. This is a short rifle carbine. I've showed this in the past. Now this is a 7mm Mauser gun. This has a regular disc in the side. So the Gewehrs early production would have a disc very similar to this. And then as time went on, they switched to the hollowed out disc for the takedown of your bolt. So yeah, you can see them in two different ways. And I would note too, what's kind of interesting is this Model 1912. I don't have a sling on this particular rifle, but they did take something from the Gerwehr. Now this gun was made in Austria, right? Waffenfabrik Steyr, Austria. So for all of you Steyr fans, Steyr M40s, M9s, Mateo's a big Steyr fan, for example. He'll appreciate this. This is Waffenfabrik Steyr, Austria. So made in Austria, contracted to Chile, right? Same type of sling setup, guys. It's got the quick release, the same quick release, you know. This is hard to do with one hand, and then still, you guys get the point, right? Same quick release sling. That could be moved from the buttstock up to the trigger guard, and then it has the same spot for the hook. So sling arrangement, basically almost identical for this Model 1912 Mauser from Chile and that Gerwehr. Barrel band's real similar, you know, what they call it, the H band. Geez, you can't see why, right? It looks like the letter H. Bayonets are a little different, though. This had a little bit different bayonet lug style, but we can get into bayonets another episode if you guys are curious about all that. But yeah, this was a good example of a different style disc, and just shows you again that this was, I think, a pretty ingenious idea, really, for your sling, right? Oh, let me take a peek here real quick at the comments. I feel like I'm missing someone. Did someone sneak in here? If you guys snuck in here and I missed you, say hi to me real quick, because let's see here. Oh, Big Bad Jones slept in. He's just stopped in to say hi. Can't stay. I'm on the road tonight, just filling up with gas, and decided to see what's up. Well, I'm sure I missed you already, man, but nice to see you. Glad you stopped by. I like the Big Bad Jones channel too, guys. He's got a heck of a nice little channel going. Let me see what else you guys are saying here. Did Cave Dave show up? Oh, there you go. Hey, what's up, Cave Dave? How you doing, man? You just snuck right on in there, didn't you? Jeremy S. is here. What's up, Jeremy? JC, any thoughts on the AK shipment Atlantic got? Polish imports. I've been working so much, I haven't checked those, but I'll look it up and talk to you guys next week about those. Let's see here. You guys are talking about PO8s. Japanese pistols have gone up a lot in price. Get the Arisakas while some are still cheap. Yeah, I'm going to do a video soon on this gun, because it seems like my last video, guys, was this one right here. And, you know, this Type 14 Nambu, this Walther Model 4, and then I showed this little Bursa, right? And I have like I might bring like a Japanese Type 99, like one of their last ditch models, because those are kind of interesting. And maybe do a video with this Nambu and like a Type 99, right? One that shoots a 7.7 Jap. Because they do have one thing in common, guys. Both of the cartridges are rather obsolete, whether it be the 8mm Nambu or the 7.7 Jap. Yeah, a little bit tough to find. You're welcome, JC. But yeah, this is a pretty cool one too. Definitely going to do a video on it pretty soon. This is a nice one too. I'm really happy with this one. Speaking of matching numbers, I know I mentioned it in the video, but this one has a matching mag, and those of you that know about Japanese guns might know what I'm talking about. But man, you just do not see a lot of these with a matching mag, all the way from 1944. For this mag to stay with this gun all these years. 790. 790 on the mag. And then you'll see 21790. You know, considering mags are the semi-disposable items, it's kind of cool. But yeah, to your point, Brastard, these have definitely gone up in price a little bit. I mean, I'd say I don't know what this gun's exactly worth today. It's not for sale, so I can't really, you know, I haven't really tried to look it up too much, but this is a pretty good one. There's really nothing wrong with it. I'm not bragging, guys. I'm just saying there's, you know, there's going to be your classic scratch here, but if you guys have ever used the safety on one of these, that's inevitable. You literally can't avoid it. As the safety comes around, it makes contact with the receiver. So if the gun's literally ever had the safety put on it, engaged or disengaged even once. So yeah, this scratch does not detract from the value because it's literally impossible to not have that there if the gun was even used once, obviously. But yeah, all original bluing on here. These are pretty cool little guns. Yeah, like Mateo said, if you ask the legislator in Colorado, they'd say they're disposable because if they ban them, then they're going to use them all and there won't be any more. I'm sure you guys remember that. And this holster, guys, is something that someone probably put it in here in the U.S. many years ago. This is an old holster, but this is not a Nambu holster. But it does happen to fit perfectly. And when I got the gun, it came with this, so I just use it to kind of protect it. But a real Nambu holster is like this big, like kind of like square boxy looking thing. It looks like a big pouch, and they're very, very expensive. If I can ever get a good deal on one, I do plan on buying a proper Japanese Nambu holster. I'd probably get one of the rubberized canvas ones, if you guys know what I'm talking about, that were issued in World War II. I think that would be the correct one for a 1944, but I'm probably looking at $300. So I'm just keeping it in this holster. But yes, guys, I know this is not the correct holster, but it does fit it like a glove, so I'm just running with it for now. Let's see here. I'll show you guys this real quick. I'm going to do a video on this gun, but do you guys have any idea how to take this gun apart? I know how. I'm just wondering if you guys have seen it. It's kind of interesting. I'm going to do it in 1 second here. Petro says the Nambu holster is a clamshell. Yeah, that'd be another way to describe it. That's what I was getting at. It's like a big blocky round thing. Clamshell. That's probably a good way to word it. So this has a Heal magazine release, which is definitely standard manual of arms for this era, all the way up into like rather current production too in Europe, by the way. You know, it's the original mag. Straight blowback gun. What's interesting about this is it doesn't eject to the right side. This is the right side of the gun. This is a little unusual. Most of the time, if you guys look up the history of the Model 4s, there's different types of markings you'd see on the right side depending on the year or the subcontractor that made them. This is an unmarked right side, which makes it quite uncommon, to be honest. 90,000 serial range. This is an old, like, again, not a true bakelite, but like a phenolic type resin that these grips are made out of. Anyways, here's how you take it apart. So there's no slide stop on here, slide release. No last strong bolt hold open. The only controls this gun has, actually, it's just a safety right here. Oh, that's another kind of rarity. This has the round, like bullseye looking serrations on the safety. Most of them had vertical little serrations built into the safety knob. Again, you got to be kind of a geek to even care, but whatever. It's in front of us, so why not? But yeah, you've got your safety. No slide release. But to take the gun apart, the barrel's in here, right? And you'll see there's a barrel shroud like over it. With the, this has a half moon style crescent, you know, sight. Some of the early ones, very early ones, were more of a straight angled. This would be like a second variation sight, I believe. So you grab onto the sight slash little collar here, this little shroud, and you just kind of push it in, turn it about 15 degrees to the left, and it just comes right off the end of the gun. So this is like a keeper, well, your front sight host, obviously, and it's a keeper for the recoil assembly, right? Recoil spring, and this little like bushing here comes right out of the end of the gun. I should be doing this more on camera. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, so I took that out of the end. Now I'm going to pull it back to the rear a little bit, slightly tilt forward, okay? And then as I go forward, I can go up and off. And now this gun's been disassembled. You notice we have a, you know, basic slide here. And here we'll see the striker channel for your firing pin rides. And this is a spring-loaded inertia type firing pin. So basically when you're done firing the round, there's a spring. It's going to be really hard to get this on film, guys, but see if I have anything small enough to stick in there to actuate it. But you can basically, you know, when you push on the back of the firing pin there, see how it protrudes? When you let up, it returns back and recesses inside of the channel. Now this is a hammer fired gun. You could call this a hammerless, right? Because the hammer is enclosed, but the proper way to word it would be just a non-exposed hammer. And I'm not gonna dry fire it like this, but I would pull the trigger. Let me make sure I'm not on safe. Hold on a minute. There we go. It's all oily. I'm sorry to take it off camera, guys, but I haven't shot this in a while. It's been a while since this gun's been shot. Now I had the mag in it. I don't think this actually has a mag safety on it. It does not have a mag safety. I'm just trying to keep this little hammer because this is, well, this gun's over 100 years old, so I'm just really trying to be careful when I pull this trigger to let this hammer ease forward. There we go. So yeah, the mag kind of helps that, the way the mag comes up in here. If you're wondering why I put the mag in there, it wasn't because it has a mag safety, but I was using the mag to keep it from thrusting forward too much, and then I decided against that too, because you really don't want to let any parts just bang against each other on a gun this old. But yeah, little hammer fired gun. It's actually quite comfortable too. I mean, really, I have no complaints about. I mean, I'm able to grip it nice and high. It actually has a plenty enough of a little beaver tail. I can get a full 2 fingers on here like it's nothing. Little 32 ACP. It's actually quite a comfortable gun to shoot, to be honest. But yeah, little Walther Model 4. And this particular one has all matching numbers that I can tell. The frame and the slide both match. It's got a few proof marks on it. That famous Walther banner that they still use today. Now, this was one of the first inventions. I don't know if you guys know the whole story, but basically Walther split the company up. The original Carl Walther, right? He split the company up between his 3 sons. And one of the sons actually developed this pistol while the dad was still alive, but he developed this little 32, and it actually ended up becoming quite popular. I think this is the Model 4. I think the first one they had was, you know, quite a bit bigger, and then they shrunk it down, and they got a contract almost right away on these. So this was a pretty big success for, it ended up being mainly a success of, like I said, the Suns, because around this time when this gun was being produced, the original Mr. Walther did pass away. And I'm not completely up to date on my facts with the Walthers. I may have gotten something wrong accidentally there, but the gist of it is this gun here was more of the pet project of one of the sons rather than the dad. So let me see what's going on in the comments here. Yeah, like Mateo said, an internal hammer, like the way the high power was originally designed to be. And I wish it was still designed that way, to be honest, because I get hammer bite from high powers, just the way my hand's shaped. This little gun, you're not going to get hammer bite. That's what's pretty cool. Jeremy says, Jeremy S, is so weird seeing a fixed barrel pistol. Well, a lot of them are fixed barrels, you know, as far as, I'll show you two more right now. We have another fixed barrel pistol right here. This little Bersa. This is a fixed barrel PP designed gun, or inspired gun, I should say, not designed obviously, but PP inspired. Let me see if I can do this. This is going to be harder to do off camera, but here's how this, or on camera, here's how this one works. This little Bersa 944 Lasbar, this actually does have a slide stop. So I'm going to engage the slide stop, right? Now, where a Makarov, you would pull down on the trigger guard. Like up here, it would hinge on the bottom, and you'd pull it out, and then like cock it off to the side, right? This is a little different. See here? There's serrations on the bottom of the frame here, and there's a hinge and pin here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to keep some pressure on the rear. I'm going to push in here. Okay, see that? And now I'm going to pull rear up on an angle and then forward. And the slide comes off of this little Bersa. Recoil spring, looks a lot like a Makarov or a Walther PP. And we see another fixed barrel right here. So it's funny you said fixed barrel, because I happen to have 3 examples right in front of my face. Now let's see if I can get this back together. This is a little trickier to get her back together just because, well, oil and you know what I'm saying. So I'm going to do this again. I'm going to get the gun ready like this, right? I'm going to push on this. There we go. I got it back in the groove. Let go. There we go. Now this gun has like 4 different safeties. This does actually have a magazine safety. Now this has a magazine safety. It has a cross bolt safety, right? And it has a slide safety. And it's single action. So if you were to drop the hammer on this gun and actuate this safety here, that one won't actuate unless it's up. So you can only use 3 out of 4 at a time. There you go. So now we could drop the hammer. A round will not fire because there's a physical bar that blocks it from this, right? And I talked about this gun a little bit. That's in my last video. But yeah, and here's a third fixed barrel gun. Right here. High Point. This is actually also a fixed barrel. To take this thing down is kind of stupid, actually. And I'm going to do that in another video. I don't feel like it right now. But there's a slide catch here. Then you have to look through this little slot, and you'll see a little roll pin buried down in there. See it? You actually have to punch this metal roll pin out of this plastic frame, and then you'll realize all that holds the slide to the frame of this gun is a roll pin holding this little like dowel that's in the back. See that little metal piece in the back that's made out of, you know, pot metal? That little dowel is captured by a little spring, or not spring, but, you know, spring steel, roll pin steel, right? There's a little roll pin, and this roll pin is like right near the back. If you look at the distance between where the roll pin is in the back of the frame, it's like that much. So there's like that much polymer holding a roll pen that retains that little dowel in the back. And that is literally all that is keeping this like 5-pound slide from hitting you right in the face. Whew. So I don't know. Kind of a little bit weird, if you ask me. Speaking of which, what do you guys think about these for concealed carry? And then I'm going to wrap it up. I'll talk about the AK mags in another video, guys. But would you guys actually carry this? What about now that we have G2Cs available? So G2C, about $200 right now, $25 rebate. Brings it down to about $175. This gun's actually very ergonomic. Doesn't feel like a double stack in your hand. It really doesn't. The way they were able to kind of narrow the profile. I've talked about this quite a bit, guys. A couple long videos on this gun. But this gun's actually freaking comfortable. Handles recoil like crazy. Has a modern safety, like a real safety that you can literally just click on and off. Okay. It has a regular old-fashioned slide stop on it. Okay. It has a regular old, trigger on it. 12 round capacity. Okay. 12 rounds. You can actually drop the slide using the release. Takes down like a Glock. I can literally just keep a little rearward pressure, push down on these tabs, push the slide off, just like any modern pistol, right? Like I'm field stripped. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm field stripped right now, like that. Okay, that's the G2C. And then you've got this hunk of crap. And I'm sorry, I'm just being blunt, but it's like a hunk. This Hi-Point. Oh, and by the way, you can take this down 1,000 times, okay? This roll pin going through the very rear part of a polymer frame, holding onto this little, dowel's head dowel. And as Mateo did remind me, yes, that's that part's actually steel. But whatever. That part may be steel, but it's still a stupid little pin through the rear part of a polymer frame, right? Isn't that why a lot of people don't like these, by the way, guys? I just need to take a day off work and have 5-hour live streams, but I promise I'm trying to hurry, guys. Isn't there a reason people don't like these polymer lowers? Is because there's a hole for a spring so close to the edge of the polymer. I mean, this Hi-Point roll pin, and when I say roll pin, I'll show you guys the punch that's used to take this roll pin out, just to put it in perspective. This is a 3/32 inch punch, guys. Okay? 3/32, just a hair over 1/8 of an inch. Actually, less than 1/8 of an inch. I'm sorry, a hair over a 1/16. It's been a long day. Yeah, between a 1/16 and an 1/8 of an inch piece, and then not a solid chunk of steel like this. Literally a roll pin right at the rear of a polymer frame is what holds this, whatever you want to call this black boat anchor thing that slides on it. I don't know. I'm probably being a little harsh right now, guys, but here's the problem. Hi-Point tells you in the manual, or if you call them, they'll even be more adamant when you call them. They don't want you to take this gun apart very many times, guys. And I was talking to Mateo the other day in a private chat that we had, a private stream, and he was talking about how, yeah, you're instructed to only take this gun down like when you absolutely have to, like 1,000 rounds at the most. But if you can go longer than that, even go longer than that, because every time you drive this pin in and out of this polymer, it slightly wallers out the polymer hole, where after you've taken this gun apart more than about maybe, I don't know how many times exactly, but if you started taking it apart, let's say dozens of times, that hole is going to get wallered out so much that the roll pin could just simply fall out, and then you could lose your dowel's head, and then I guess you could lose your head. Maybe the best way to shoot this is, if I'm aiming towards you there, maybe I need to go like this, do the whole side step where, there we go. So if the dowel's head breaks, it would you guys get my point. But yeah, you're literally not supposed to take this gun down unless absolutely necessary. You're supposed to very infrequently clean just due to the fact of, now, you're thinking like an AK, right? Oversize the pen if the hole gets wallered out. I wouldn't dare oversize it too much, guys. I mean, there's like a, there's like a you-know-what hair of polymer actually, exposed behind this little hole. Like, it's like, I wouldn't go up. I wouldn't even want to go up another size roll pen. You guys get my point here? So, hey, that's the deal. Now, another thing is this. 12 rounds in this little G2C, ergonomic. Now, look at the difference here. You can see the high points, 3/4 of an inch longer. The width of it is where it's insane. Can you guys see the width of the grips on here? The high points grip is like twice as wide. I mean, this is like wider than like a 18, 19 round double stack mag. Okay, look how, let's get a different angle here. Wow, look at that. Can you guys see that the same way I can? Like, I mean, look at the bulges on the side of this grip too. By the time you account for the bulges in the sides there, the side panels, I mean, this is literally almost twice as wide as the G2C. And here's the kicker. This one, twice as wide as the other one, and longer grip, by the way, too. And the grip on the high point's longer. Well, let me take the mag out of this G2C to be fair. The actual grip itself, I mean, this mag on this high point is actually, the mag well area is actually longer than the G2C. Okay? 12 rounds. This has a whopping 8 rounds. 8 rounds. 8. Can I repeat that again? Guess what? Little Walther 1904. Model 4. I'm sorry. It's been a long day. Model 4 holds 8 rounds. So we're talking like World War I single stack pistol. But heck, the Model 4, that is a true pocket pistol. This thing, 8 rounds. That's what you get, folks. 8 rounds out of this. Now, the safety that you can't get rid of, you can't cut this off because the gun will become very dangerous. And second of all, you must use it to disassemble the gun, because if not, there's no way you're going to be able to just hold it in one hand while you're running a hammer and punch, right? This safety, the way my thumb grips it, my thumb's right there. So, oh, by the way, there's no release. You can't. You have to take all the pressure off, push it down, clear the mag. Okay? The way I shoot, this is where my thumb wants to be. Right on top of this plastic. Maybe it's metal. I'm sorry. This part is actually sheet metal. My bad. Encased in plastic. So, yeah, it's metal. But anyways, this thin sheet metal thing, it just sticks out on a weird angle, and it just digs into the side of my thumb. This is how I shoot, guys. I like to have, my thumbs kind of forward, but on just a little bit of a slightward angle, and this thumb just sits right here. Terribly uncomfortable. G2C, nothing. I mean, look, I can get a nice grip on here. Can you guys see where the safety is? Safety and slide release right above me there. Perfect. So, now here's the kicker. Let's do this, guys, before I conclude here. All right. You guys have to take my word for it. I'm sure I'm going to lie about this, but high point, C9, 8 round capacity, 9mm. Weighs in at 31.74 ounces. 31.74. So I don't forget here. 31.74. Okay. With an empty mag. Empty mag in the Taurus G2C. 12 round mag, I would note, not 8. 21.44. So it's fatter. It's less ergonomic. It has a stupid safety / takedown notch that digs into your finger. It's heavy, and it's heavy in all the wrong places. Like, it's all top heavy. Like, 90% of the weight's in the top. So the gun feels like it's like going to bobble all over the place. Very low capacity. I don't know, guys. What do you think? Am I missing something here? Is there anybody here? I mean, what do you guys like more? G2C or High Point? I bought both, so. I mean, 10 ounces is huge, right, Seth? On a handgun like this? I mean, huge. I mean, it's like to the point where what? I could have 2 of these would put me what at 64 ounces. I could get right in at 3 of these. So if you start looking at it that way, not that we would do this, so this is just for comparison, guys, but you could carry 3 of these for the same weight as 2 of these. That's pretty decent ratio. 50% more weight, almost on the dime if you go from 21.4 to 31.74. Oh, Mateo brings up, see, I knew there'd be another side to it. Switchpod agrees with me, G2C. Mateo, everyone knows when you run out of bullets, you throw the gun at them. There you go. Or if you needed a field expedient hammer, well, no, never mind. Don't use this as a hammer, guys. This pot metal here, this stuff doesn't bend like regular malleable steel does. This will literally break on you. Like if you've ever had a piece of cast iron and you hit it with a hammer, it breaks. So, and like Ape said, Armed Ape said, that's what I've been doing wrong. You never thought to throw this out of. See, you made the mistake of trying to shoot this gun. That was your problem. But no, I bought one of these two, guys. And in all fairness, look, guys, I got to tell the truth here. Back when this was the Millennium, and there was a huge class action lawsuit, like huge, and this gun was like dangerous, and like shame on Taurus because they put out a dangerous gun back in the day. This was probably the way to go. It's only until recently where Taurus has fired a lot of people, done some restructuring, that these appear to be legit little guns. So I'm not going to rip on you guys if you guys own a High Point. There was a time where it made a little more sense. I'm just saying, these are $150 or so. With rebate, this can be had for $175. This is just like, you know, albeit a cheap gun, you know, of course, this actually feels like a real gun. Like this, when you have this in your hands, you feel like you have a regular gun. This, it doesn't even feel like a real gun. And I do have to disagree. Every gun's not a dangerous gun because a gun itself is not dangerous at all. There's no danger in a piece of equipment. It has no feelings. It's not, you know what I'm saying? It's an inanimate object. So a gun isn't dangerous. However, a dangerous person could use a gun to cause harm. Except for there is a such thing as a dangerous gun. And that is when you're using the gun for proper, legal, safe activities, shooting downrange in a safe direction at paper, right? And the gun breaks and it actually hurts, injures, kills the person shooting it. Then I'm going to call that a dangerous gun because it was being used in a safe manner by a safe person, and it hurt either a bystander or the operator by shooting it. So in Taurus's case, they did actually make some dangerous guns. But as far as, yes, all guns can kill people, I don't really call those dangerous guns because that's a dangerous person. Let's see here. Okay, I got it, dude. You were joking. If we were sitting in the same room, I would have probably saw the smile and got it, but yeah. Jeremy, yes, says, can't lie. You used to have a PT-709. Never again. Look, I've shunned Taurus and stayed away from him for many, many years, guys, but knock on wood, I'm going to keep testing this little guy. They might have finally figured something out here. I'm saying might because I haven't been able to conclusively attest this gun yet, but hey. All right, I'm going to check up on the comments again here, and I'm going to be getting off in 1 second. Brastard says he fixed a Lorison 380 for a guy that the bottom of the Z-Max slide wore away from rubbing on the rounds in the mag, and the steel breech now had a lip, and you couldn't rack it back. I've actually seen that before. I've seen that exact thing you're talking about, actually. So I know exactly what you mean. Some Z-Max guns were known to drop when they went off. Yeah. Francis likes old school Taurus 92s, rather, and revolvers. I think I have a Taurus revolver sitting here. Yeah. I think that's what's in this box here. Here's a little Taurus revolver, a Model 85. These are pretty cool. I know at least one person in the chat carries one of these every day. Taurus Model 85. Yep. Ape, you got it, man. Shoot first, then throw. Got it. Unless you've disassembled it too many times, man, I got to warn you, then just throw it first, because if that roll pin gets, the polymer frame gets too worn out from taking the roll pin out more than 5 times in its life, I just throw it first, because, yeah, this thing comes off and hits you in the face. Whew, that's a bad day, my man. Bad day. Mateo said that guy must be an idiot. Who's the idiot that would carry one of these, guys? All right, guys, I went way over. I'm sorry. It's midnight Eastern time, but I do appreciate you guys staying with me this long. So I'm just going to take one last glance at the comments. I'm sure there's at least 2 things I promised to show you guys that I didn't. Oh, I took all the time to get these out, and I forgot to show them earlier. But these are old original Gervais 98. The same style was also used on the K98 Mausers. These are your ammo pouches. They used to be issued on stripper clips. And you could put a row of clips on each side of this divider here in the pouch. And yeah, so this was a proper, for Gervais 98 or K98. So I thought I'd show this while it was here. And I'll show this again when I do a video on that actual gun later on. So I'm going to take one last peek here through the comments. By the way, real quick, what did you guys think of that Guns and Games? Who checked him out? I really like that guy's channel. I think he's got some cool stuff. So if you guys didn't watch my last video, go back and watch it. And there's a link in the description to the Guns and Games chat, or our Guns and Games channel. Don't know him personally. I just think he's really got a really cool little channel. And I was like, man, it's a shame. Nice small channel like my own. I think he does a good job, guys. So if you liked him, go say hi to him in the comments. Tell him you came from over here. Say, hey, man, Glock recommended you, just because that way he'll feel welcome. Maybe he'll want to come hang out with us, because he seems like a good guy to to welcome to our little group we have going here. So yeah. And if you guys don't like him, well, just don't say anything. Well, you can say whatever you want. I don't care. I'm joking. But I think he's a good dude, from what I know of him. Let's see here. All right, looks like you guys are getting out. If I forgot to say hi to anybody, oh, Matt Morrison's here. I didn't see you, Matt. So hi and bye, Matt. Good night, guys. I appreciate it. And real quick here, I think I said hi to everyone. If I didn't, I swear it wasn't intentional. So I appreciate it, guys. Thanks to my mods for helping out. SwitchPod, 7 Wonders, Mateo. Make sure you guys go check out the 7 Wonders channel. Sounds like he's got a giveaway going on, and he's doing some cool stuff on his channel too, guys. All right. Well, better late than never, Matt. Maybe you'll want to go back if you get extremely bored and watch earlier. All right. I got to get up for work early in the morning. So do you guys. So appreciate it. It's been fun as always. I always have a great time with you guys, and I'll be back next Friday. Friday is my regular time slot. So until then, you guys take it easy and have a good one. All right. Good night.